for today's session, which is all about collaboration and will be delivered by Lieven Berthier from Barco. For those who don't know me, I'm Kate Bacon. I work for IACC as Customer Relations and Events Manager based over in the UK, and I work with Mark Cooper. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping points. The session is planned to last no more than 60 minutes for those of you that have got obviously other meetings to attend. Can I ask that while the session runs that you do put your computers or your phones on mute so we don't have any background noise for the presenter. As Mark said, we will be recording today's session, so should anyone want a copy, please contact me afterwards and I'll make sure I get that across to you. We will also have a PDF file of the presentation which I can get to you as well. With that, I would like to hand over to Lieven, who's our facilitator, who's the Global Marketing Manager for Collaboration for Barco, based out in Belgium. Lieven, over to you.
Thank you, Kate. Good morning, good afternoon. So a quick introduction from my side as well. Lieven Berthier, I've been with Barco for more than 15 years in different marketing roles. And for the last 4 years, I've been heading up the product management team for ClickShare. And as you probably know, ClickShare is one of our devices that we bring to market in wireless presentation and collaboration. Now today I don't want to talk a lot about ClickShare. To the contrary, what I would like to do is present to you some pieces of research we did over the last months, which really show how, for instance, technology can cause stress to meeting participants and what to do about it. I would also like to go a bit deeper into the market for hospitality for convention centers and what we see happening there in terms of trends, in terms of things happening. And last but not least, I would also like to share with you a framework that we think is a good one if you would start evaluating certain presentation and collaboration solutions. If once in a while my voice drops or if I disappear for 5 seconds, no worries. It's because I have a bad cold and I need to drink a little bit to keep my throat going. So no worries there. Good. I've called the session The Power of Collaboration. I could have used a lot of different titles, but basically we see that something is happening when people get together, when people start working together. And this is what we would like to cover in today's session. As I said, I was going to start with a bit of research, and I would like to start with the frictions that we see in the meeting room. And for many of us, these frictions may sound familiar. I think we've all been in situations where you were trying to give a presentation and all of a sudden technology let you down, or you didn't have the right piece of adapter with you, or for one or other reason, you did not get onto the screen. Now, first of all, I will be showing some results from a survey we did. It's called Presenting to Win, and we actually interviewed 1,000 office workers from all around the UK, France, Germany, and also the United States. And it was people who regularly join meetings, present meetings, attend meetings, etc. And some of the findings we found are, if you ask them what are the key skills if you want to make a good impression, if you want to give a good presentation, you won't be surprised if we say that subject matter expertise comes up, that punctuality and time management come up, that it is about explaining complex things. Your body language is of course a crucial one. You need to respond feedback to what the audience is giving you, and of course you need to be flexible to react, for instance, in case something goes wrong. Now, we continue to ask a lot of questions to those people, and for instance, we also dived into the key mistakes that are typically made when they are presenting. Again here, between us, I was not very surprised to see that the lack of preparation was one that came up, not having a backup plan, and so on. But there are also a number of elements that we can probably manage with the help of technology. For instance, if you have or if you come across as nervous or anxious, which is a key mistake to 41% of people, there's probably something we can do about it. Showing too much content at the same time is probably also an easy one to tackle. And last but not least, you also see in the list, it's not considering the technology for everyone to participate. And even though the response rate here may only be 27% of people saying that this is a key mistake, it's still 1 out of 4 citing this as a key element. Why the hell should we worry about presenting well? Well, first of all, there's of course your personal reputation. There's the element of trust, how you convey your message. That is really crucial. But it also will help improve customer satisfaction. As a representative of your organization, you will of course help boost the profile of your organization. It can help you win new business, and let's not forget, it can also open new opportunities for yourself. So let's go a little bit deeper into making presenting easier, because we at Barco, we are of course an AV manufacturer. We are in technology, so we like the fact that people want to make a good impression, and that it is about body language and so on. But we also believe we can help in removing some of the frictions that we see in meeting rooms. When we asked those 1,000 people, how can we make presenting easier? 30% of people here said, we got a presentation training from our company. So we believe that is definitely something to work on. 58% of the people, and now we're talking Barco language of course, request technology that is quick and easy to set up. So the ease of use seems to be a key element. And what's even more important, 50% of people believe their organization's technology could be better. And I think we can easily widen this to convention centers or other types of rented out meeting rooms. It is about this ease of use. It is about making sure that you have the right technology. And this quote really sums it all up. 51%, that's 500 and a little bit more of the 1,000 respondents, they actually said the right technology is equally important or even more important than having the right presenter. And we all know if you are a bad presenter, technology will not save the day. But the other way around, we've seen many great presenters go down because technology literally let them down. We just meet and meet and meet and never seem to get any work done. That's a quote we often hear from people. And the numbers behind are really staggering. For instance, 78% of business leaders say we would be more productive if more than one person could go on screen. In the US alone, for instance, there are 3 billion meetings a year. Yes, 3 billion meetings, and 71% of employees feel that meetings are unproductive. If you look at these numbers, it's not surprising that this costs us, forgive me the word, a shitload of money. Fortune 500 companies on their own, they are estimated to waste 75 million a year on meetings. If you would open that up to all the companies out there, I'm sorry, but I cannot make the calculation anymore because we're talking billions and billions of money that literally gets lost in meetings. And testifying to the nature of the problem, to the nature of the challenge, is the fact that IT guys, they run on average a marathon a year just to sort out meeting room problems. So that is really bad. I started off by giving you some results from our Presenting to Win survey that we did. The following numbers come from another survey that we did a few months ago, and here we were really looking at the relation between technology and stress. And it was actually a survey we did. It was a quantitative survey, so we surveyed 1,000 people, but we also involved the Sussex Innovation Centre in the UK, where we actually started measuring what stress or what technology stress does to your body. So this is the background to this survey. And the most important finding, 87% of office workers, of knowledge workers, of people who are in meeting rooms, they experience technology-related stress. So whatever way you look at it, there's something happening there. And so if you look at technology, this really gets people to worry in the meeting room. 1 out of 3 really worry about making sure that everyone is able to connect. 28% get stressed if they have to connect into a meeting room. 3 out of 10 are concerned about technology failure. 1 out of 5 worry about sharing content of screens during the meetings, and 28% are concerned about incompatible technology. Again, whatever way you look at it, whether it's about joining, whether it's about sharing, whether it's about connecting, almost 1 out of 3 are really worried or are experiencing technology issues there. And the funny thing is, what happens then, and that is exactly what we started out measuring together with the Sussex Innovation Center. So we brought people in stressful situations, and we had all kinds of electrons connected to them to measure their bodily responses. And the scenario was very simple. You're in a meeting and all of a sudden you're missing a piece of hardware. There is, for instance, an adapter missing that makes for you not being able to go on screen, or we made the click share on purpose fail, or we hit the remote control of the projector. We just made sure that there would be some kind of stress. And now the very, very surprising result was actually that with one respondent, we had a heart rate of 179 the moment something went wrong in the meeting room or with the technology. And if you think about it, this is really, really scary, because a heart rate of 179, I don't think there is a Tour de France athlete or another athlete who is actually experiencing this kind of heart rate. This is really life-threatening. This was just one respondent, but we noticed that all the other ones were also going up and were between 140 and 160. So you see a real pattern there of people getting exposed to stress if technology lets them down. And very often they are already in a stressful situation because they have to give a presentation. So 93%, that is the number of respondents that actually have experienced this kind of technology stress. So it is not just an isolated thing, but it is something that all of us experience day in, day out. Now, if we look at the numbers here, what additional impact can you expect from this stress? And there's a lot of things that are not surprising. It's about getting frustrated. It's about wasting time. It's about not being able to participate actively. That's not really surprising. But if we go down this list, there is some elements here that are really surprising to me. 12% of people, that's the last but one, say they actually lost business or sales because of this technology-related meeting stress. 13% said they missed out on personal opportunities because they were not able to shine like they had intended to shine. And 24% have actually missed deadlines or have missed actions. So this is really impacting meeting participants, knowledge workers, a lot. That, of course, brings the opportunity for technology that removes this friction. And humans as we are, if something goes wrong, when we talk global warming, we are looking at technologies to solve it, or at least to reduce, for instance, our emissions. And it's very human that in the same way we are looking for technology that will help remove these frictions. And so it's not surprising, in my opinion, that 9 out of 10 feel that technology capabilities can help them and can help reduce this technology stress. 44% say it's about wireless technology, and half of the respondents say technology that works at the touch of a button, that is very intuitive, very easy to use, is something that could help lead to stress-free meetings. Now, why does collaboration technology matter? We have seen a lot of numbers, we've seen a lot of trends. It is about making impressions, it's about being stress-free in the meetings. But why would all this collaboration technology matter, and especially in the market that we're talking about when we're talking about hospitality and talking about convention centers? First of all, I think what is really, really important, whether you look at business trips, whether you look at meeting room usage statistics, whether you look at renting out spaces and so on, it is a market that keeps on growing. I've projected here the numbers from Euromonitor International. That was their numbers for 2011 to 2016. There are many, many different sources where you will see the same pattern, where business trips are on the rise, where business meetings are on the rise. And the growth actually is at a level of about 11%, at least that's what I found in the Hospitality 2015 survey from Deloitte. So it is something that is really, really growing. And what is also very notable when you look at the industry segment is that more than 50% of revenue gets created from business guests, which is really, really important. And all the more if you look at what hotels then say, and that is the quote from the e-marketing director of Park Hotels Group India. He literally said, in the current market scenario, 40 to 50% of total revenue is generated through non-room related revenue. So what we are really seeing is it is about business guests are crucial to the business, and at the same time there's a lot happening outside of renting out rooms that is really impacting this. Now, you could say everything is going pretty well, everything is growing, the market is growing, there's more and more opportunities, so everything is going well. But of course, if you look under the surface, there might be a number of proverbial sharks that we have to take into account. And the first one of these sharks is, in my opinion, the fact that the average business traveler or the average business participant is really changing. Today, 67% of the group are male, and more than half of the group are between 32 and 54 years old. But we've got a new breed, forgive me the word breed, we've got a new breed of people coming to market, coming to the business space, and that is the so-called digital natives, and they are going to take over by 2017. That is, yes, that is next year. So if you look at it, the number of digital natives is growing everywhere, and in most countries, for instance in the States, it's already 13% today. If I look at Europe on average, it's 12 point something. So the digital natives are coming, and they have their own habits because they've been grown up in a world where digital was the new normal, was the new natural. Second, very important trend we are seeing is mobile everywhere. And this is illustrated here by a statistic from Smart Brief Media Services. How much are you willing to pay for Wi-Fi? And 87% respond nothing. It should be free. So people are used to being online all the time. They are not willing to pay for it. They're used to have Wi-Fi everywhere. And in case our Wi-Fi isn't there, we of course rely on our 3G or 4G connection. But we're always online. We're mobile everywhere. Really important trend we see coming. Third trend I would like to stress is simplicity. As people are participating in meetings in different locations, in different places and so on, they want to fall back on something that is so intuitive to use that there is no learning at all involved. If you go into a meeting and the first thing that needs to happen is a 15-minute introduction on the technology that you are going to use for the day, I'm afraid that this is a real friction, that this is a very big hurdle for many participants in a meeting. Another one, think beyond guests or think beyond the people that are there. This was inspired by a quote from Marriott, and it is about using spaces even if they are not rented out or even if they are not occupied. There is still an opportunity to use those spaces. But even more important, I would say, MICE is really changing. It's about meetings, and the meeting demand is really at a peak today in the industry. And it has also to do, to a certain extent, with what we call new age technology. If you look at meetings, people are walking in, they are downloading apps, they are walking in with their smartphones, they're walking in with iPads or tablets. They want to use mobile sites, they want to use their social media. So technology is really transforming there, and the expectations of people who are always mobile are also really changing. And as a result, what I call the meeting package is really back. It's about making sure that everything you have in the meeting is there. It's about being connected. It's about being able to share. It's about being online. And last but not least, and I'm referring again to the same Deloitte Hospitality 2015 survey that I had access to, as one word that is also really, really important. It's about branding. It's about differentiation, because we all know that in theory, all is it convention centers, is it hotels renting out meeting rooms, is it shared workspaces, but all of us do have access to the same sources, to the same technologies, etc. But in the end, it really comes down to tying customers to your brand. It comes down to making sure that you stand out in the marketplace and that people really recognize you as being the one to team up with. So to me, the big question is about loyalty. How can we make people loyal to your meeting spaces? How can you differentiate in this market? And so, as I just said, it's about differentiation. It's about standing out. And we got to realize that to stand out, a lot of traditional ways of doing it are actually fading. We can talk about the words luxury. We can talk about experience. You could talk about being unique. There's a lot of words and a lot of different themes there that you could use. But basically, everybody is using the same commonplaces there. So that really brings us to the important question, how to stand out. And if you look at the hotel sector, they are actually doing this by smarter meeting packages. One example I have, for instance, is from the Radisson Group, where they are talking about smart meetings and events. And they are actually offering pens, they are offering whiteboards, they are offering screens and projectors, and that is their smart meetings and events concept that they have. If you look at Marriott, for instance, they have the Inspired by People meeting spaces, and they are doing about the same thing. So you see this really happening there. But a big question to me, and I'm glad to find the answer here, can technology help further differentiate? What is the role technology can play for you to further differentiate your offering into the market? And some very important statistics here. First of all, 80% of European business leaders expect technology to make meetings more productive. That is research we did ourselves, the Meeting Room of the Future survey by Barco. But the right-hand side of the slide is also very important to me. Would a hotel's technology offering make a difference in whether you stay there? And that is the same 80% saying it's important to essential. So technology can really help differentiate, can really help to make an impact in the market space. How could collaboration technology help you to differentiate? Or what can it do to your image? And there's actually 5 things I would like to put forward here. It's about, it's offering a marketing advantage. It can help drive loyalty. It will help you save cost. It can help attract new customers. And it can also be a revenue generator. Let's dive into it for 1 minute. As a marketing advantage, this is a real-life example I found with somebody advertising for their meeting rooms by saying you get free Wi-Fi, you get a certain service, and so on. You can have so many people in there, there are different setups possible, but they're also saying, hey, we've got certain collaboration technology. As a loyalty driver, I'm quoting Eric Zuri here, who is the general manager of the Marriott in München and who actually invested in wireless presentation solutions. And he says, customers come back since we updated the meeting package. They've experienced the reliability, they've experienced the comfort, the convenience, and they want to hold, or they know they can hold their meetings here hassle-free and problem-free. Again, this is technology making sure people come back. They had a great experience, they know it works, it was hassle-free, it was problem-free, and to them that is a crucial element in coming back to the same place time after time, or to promoting it to their friends and colleagues. From the same source, it's also about cost saving. And this person, Katrin Hanisch, she literally said, we have customers coming in and asking for a meeting room. And we don't have time to set up the technology. It just has to be ready or we lose the client. We don't have time to set up something. We don't have time to instruct people. And they're referring here to ClickShare, but it could be any product that helps solving this issue. But it is about making sure it can be set up right away. There's no instruction, there's no learning involved at all. So the moment you want to use it, it's ready for usage. And this can solve, or this can save a lot of money, I should say, because you no longer need dedicated staff available to set up rooms or to instruct users how to use the meeting rooms. It's also about attracting new customers, because by differentiating, by having a certain offering, it can really help in bringing in new people. And that is something that, for instance, they did at Marriott International. Last but not least, it was a cost saver, but it is of course also a revenue generator. And I have one example here. As you probably will know, people don't share a lot of stats on this. Many people share with me that they have improved their ROI with 10 or 20% thanks to technology investments. But when it comes down to putting this on paper, that's another story, of course. But this one is really from the Radisson Group, where they really said, focusing on meetings, incentives, conferences, and events, this has generated an average annual increase in revenue of around 25%. So again, they are confirming that this really works. Now, these are a number of trends and a number of opportunities for technology in meeting room spaces. Last part of the presentation, I would like to go a little bit deeper into the criteria that are, in my humble opinion, important when you start considering certain technologies or when you start looking at collaboration technologies. And we've called this the switch program. More about that in a second. So first of all, what we see, and I think this is a bit of a summary of what we've had so far, technology can be treated or is very often considered as a gateway to collaboration. When people are updating meeting rooms, presentation technology comes often number one. 64% of business leaders say meetings would already be more efficient if we could get more than one person on screen. This may sound so trivial, this may seem so trivial, but getting more than one person on screen at a given moment is already a big facilitator of collaboration. And European research results, 8 out of 10 European business leaders are really looking at technology to make the meetings more productive. So that led us to bring the SWITCH acronym, the 6 crucial dimensions to consider when you start looking at collaboration. And SWITCH stands for security, who is in your meeting room, integration and interactivity. It is about technology, it is about cross-platform, and it is about human factors. 6 crucial dimensions to consider when you start talking collaboration. First of all, it is about security. And why is it about security? Because what you will see is that meeting spaces are at the intersection of a number of different networks, literally. You probably have a guest network, you have your own centers network, guests will be accessing their corporate network via VPN or other connections. There is the World Wide Web, there's the internet out there. So meetings are at the intersection very often of a lot of different networks, and that is where security really comes in. People want to be sure that when they are doing a meeting or when they are having a meeting off-site, that their data is secure, that they can establish a secure connection with their servers. But they also want to be sure that nobody can intercept the data they are sharing. They want to be absolutely sure that nothing can happen with what is being discussed, and some will even ask not to have any mics or whatsoever in the meeting room. So security is a crucial element when you start talking collaboration and presentation. And if you think about who is in your meeting room, and what I'm showing here is actually results from enterprise results, because in convention centers and hotels the number will be even higher. But you see people bringing their own devices. However, 68%, and that is our Meeting Room of the Future survey, 68% claim they cannot share from their personal devices today. So there is a big friction, there's a big hurdle there for people. If you look at an enterprise setting, 1 out of 3 meetings will also include non-employees. If you look at a convention center or a hotel, the number is even going to be a lot higher. You have new people in the rooms, in the meeting spaces, day in, day out. So I would almost say it's almost 100% guests or non-employees. So as a result, we can say everybody will be in those meeting rooms, and it's very hard to install something upfront onto those systems. Second dimension to consider is about integration and is about interactivity. What do we mean with this? First of all, when we say integration, it can have multiple meanings, of course, but it could, for instance, mean that your technology needs to be able to integrate or interface with certain video conferencing systems. Maybe it needs to be able to interface with certain touchscreens. Maybe it needs to be able to interface with electronic whiteboards and so on. Long story short, a piece of technology is never an island on its own, but is always part of a bigger system, and that is a really important element to consider. At the same time, if you have numerous rooms or if you have numerous devices installed, a key element also to consider is how am I going to manage my install base? For instance, do units automatically update to the latest firmware if a new version is available? Is there a central management system that allows me to access usage statistics, or that allows me to do interventions or change settings without having to be present in the meeting room? A number of key elements to consider when you start thinking and talking about presentation and collaboration. Other element, technology. A lot of questions to be asked here, but will I be using a single screen? Will I be using a dual screen? Will I be using a main screen and an auxiliary screen? Am I going to go for 4K? Am I going to go for Full HD? What am I going to use? Do I want to go for projection? Do I want to go for flat screens? Many different questions to be asked here. Am I going to take something that works standalone, that creates its own Wi-Fi access point, for instance, or am I going for something that fully integrates into my company or my center's network? Do I want a wired solution or do I want a wireless solution? Do I want simultaneous access to the screen and to the internet without affecting bandwidth? Do I want touch? Do I want multi-touch? Do I want to support this? So a lot of questions to be asked when you start looking at the technology, and as I said, a device is never an island on its own. Another, and this, if you ask me, is probably the most crucial dimension, it's about being able to support multiple platforms for technology to work cross-platform. What you will have in your meeting room is a mixture of Macs and PCs. It will be a mixture of Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, maybe still Windows XP. You will have iOS devices in there. You will have Android devices in there. People will start asking about AirPlay. People will start asking about Google Cast and so on. So what is really crucial is to make sure that the solution you bring in supports as many different users, as many different devices as possible. It's about sharing presentations, it's about sharing video, it's about sharing audio. There's a lot of different dimensions to consider when we are entering this meeting room. And the most important of all, I would say, is the human factors, or freely translated, the ease of use. People want and people are used to technology that they can work with without any learning at all. The classic example here is you buy a new phone, you take it home and you start using it right away. Nobody reads the manual anymore. Same story when you buy a printer, for instance. And the same is actually true even in a business environment. When people start using technology, there is no time anymore to learn. They're not willing to spend time to learn because they are used to intuitive technology that they have at home. And all they expect is, I walk in, I connect, and I can start sharing whatever device I'm using. So ease of use really comes down as the #1 criterion in our switch framework. So summarizing, it is about security, it is about who will join in your meeting room, it's about integration, it's about technology, it's about being cross-platform, and it's about making sure you have the ease of use, the human factors. 2 slides on why ClickShare might be a good option. First of all, it's about bringing peace of mind. That's what we try to do with ClickShare. Peace of mind can be interpreted in many different ways. It's about this ease of use indeed. There is no learning involved at all. It also does not require any software installation at all for people entering the meeting room, but it also means, for instance, that our latest gen of products comes with a auto-update function that automatically updates to the latest firmware without any human intervention at all. Peace of mind, first element. Second thing to stress is the robustness and the security. ClickShare products come with encryption, so that means that all communication is always encrypted, whether you are using ClickShare apps, the ClickShare buttons, or any other type of connection. And on some models, the security is even configurable. Peace of mind also in the sense of user friendliness. As I said, it's zero learning, it's zero training, zero installation. And as such, I would say it's about being cable-free, it's about being hassle-free. That is really the promise we try to bring to the market with ClickShare. So that was what I wanted to share with you today in terms of the research we did, in terms of what we see happening in the convention and hospitality market, and in terms of how we would go about when looking at collaboration. I'm not sure if there are questions. If there should be questions after the session, I'm reachable via the below email address, or you can always contact us as well via Twitter or via our website. But if there are questions now, I'm very, very happy to take them.
Oh, is that it? Thank you. Thank you.
Good timing.
If anybody doesn't have the ability to ask questions over the microphone as well, we'd be happy for you to drop the questions in the chat section, and we'll be able to pick those up and address those. I know there was one question that came in earlier in the presentation, and in case that wasn't covered, it was asking in the survey that you conducted, who specifically was the survey audience? Were they meeting planners, venue operators, a mix of both?
Yeah, so the audience we have surveyed is the actual meeting room users. So it is office workers. That means people who spend a lot of time either in their company office or who spend a lot of time in rented meeting space. So it was not the meeting planners who were surveyed.
Great, thanks for sharing that with the group.
I have a question. It's regarding, I may have missed it, but is there any difference between using an Apple device as opposed to like a PC, or is like from a configuration with resolution? Could you dive into that a little bit more? Is there any challenges with Apple as opposed to PC, or full HD as opposed to 4K? Those kinds of questions.
Let me start, for instance, with Apple and Android and so on. So what we see from a manufacturer's point of view is that most of the big manufacturers are trying to create their own ecosystem, and I think Apple is the best example of that. So they have a suite of products and solutions that are working very well together, that are highly interoperable. But of course, if somebody walks in carrying a PC in a room that is, for instance, equipped with an Apple TV or another solution, then you will enter into a challenging situation. Other way around, for instance, there are a lot of devices that are using WiDi or Miracast, But then again, if you walk in with an AirPlay device, with an iOS or macOS device, it becomes a bit of a challenge. So that's why, from a Barco point of view, we try to take an agnostic position, and we try to have as many communication protocols as possible, and we try to support as many different devices as possible. So that is our going in there as a manufacturer. When it comes to 4K, when it comes to Full HD, I would really recommend looking at the use case, because 4K is nothing more and nothing less than having 4 Full HD sources on screen simultaneously, if you start talking collaboration. So if you are in a situation where it is crucial for people to start comparing documents, or for people to enrich one another's documents by putting them side by side on the same screen or projector, then 4K is definitely the way to go. If that is not the situation, you could as well do with a Full HD projector or a Full HD screen. Now, that being said, we all know that the world is going 4K and that it is becoming a de facto standard. At the same time, if we look around in terms of contents, the available contents in 4K, the laptops supporting 4K and so on, are still relatively limited. So it's a transition ongoing, and we will end up there, that's for sure. I dare not predict when. But the main use case for 4K today is really about comparing documents, about enriching by having multiple people on screen at the same time.
Thank you for that answer.
And leaving a chat question come in from Catherine. What would you say are the top 3 pieces of technology that increase meeting productivity today?
First of all, I would say a cable killer or a cable replacer. So call it wireless presentation or call it wireless collaboration devices. Why is that? Because you will enable everybody to go on screen in a very, very easy way. And this very often changes the dynamics of the meeting room. A classic example I always give is you are in a meeting with your CEO, and for many people it's not really done to ask, hey CEO, can you please pass me the cable because I also want to show something on the big screen. That is sort of not done. Whereas if it is just installing a software client or passing around the button or something, it's relatively easy. The threshold is lower to join. So that is, to me, the first piece of technology that is really essential in a meeting room. Second piece of equipment that is crucial when you start talking collaboration is a very good audio system. So you need to be able to capture all the voices of the people in the meeting room, especially when you are talking meeting room to meeting room. And that is something that you see happening very often. So make sure that everybody in the room can be heard, that everybody's voice gets captured, because all of us have been too often in meetings where only the guy or the girl sitting close to the phone was hearable on the other side. And then last but not least, I would say, next to audio, of course you also need video, and you need video conferencing there, because it is about capturing or seeing how the other side reacts and responds. But I would say next to that, the crucial element is systems that bring you a certain context for what is happening in the meeting. And that is very often hard to capture, but if you can know what is happening, who's having side conversations with whom, who's engaging or who's hiding away at a certain moment in the meeting, that is really crucial information. And video is one way of bringing it, but we could think of alternatives to get that as well. So summarizing, I would say it's about being able to present, it's about being able to conference, and it's about being able to capture as much context as possible.
Have we got any other questions? No, with that then, just to echo what Lieben said, we have access to the presentation as a PDF. We have also recorded this session, so if anybody does wish to have a copy of that, then please let me know. Thanks very much for your time, Lieben, for today. And as I say, if there's any questions following the session, you will know how to reach me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lieben.